And as promised, ladies and gentlemen, Ross Bjork, athletic director of The Ohio State University. I know, Ross, officially you've only been on the job since what, July, but really you were on the job from this time a year ago almost on. And boy, man, did you reap the whirlwind. I mean, Ohio State wins a national championship in football, basically the biggest championship you can win in college athletics. I think you agree with me on that from a revenue standpoint, an impact standpoint, whatever impact you want to put on this. But you've been a busy man since then, right?
Yeah, Tim, if I think back a year ago about this time, I was on a sabbatical. My last day at Texas A&M was on February the 2nd, and I thought I had the whole month of February to just like collect my thoughts, rest up a little bit. I had a couple trips that were on the docket. I was going to a Big Ten meeting the middle of February, but I was just actually gonna take my time and catch my breath a little bit. And then, Gene Smith called me on February 13th and said, "Hey, I think I'm going to make a basketball change. Get to work and crank up a search." So the last 2 weeks in February was spent on a basketball search. But no, I really was thinking about this morning. I was sitting in a meeting and thinking about where the time goes and how much time has gone by. And I really, there's a big Ohio State University seal on the wall in this meeting that I was in. And I still pinch myself to say that you're at The Ohio State University as the senior vice president, athletic director, that this is a big responsibility, that this comes with a lot. And then to think about the run that we went on in the playoffs, to think about winning a national championship, many athletic directors would dream of just winning one, let alone winning one in a football season like we had. And so just very blessed to be here, very blessed to be a Buckeye, to be the steward of the program. Our goal is to leave it better than we found it. That's a long-term approach. So I'm sure we can get into some of those things. But yeah, it's been quite the run with football and other sports and just all the things that we're going through in college athletics. But that year has gone by pretty fast.
I was going to say, I would think there are moments of this past year that went by extremely slowly from the standpoint of some stuff that was going on. And then boom, it just accelerates. Next thing you know, you're looking out the back of the caboose going, wow, look at that track we just left. Uh, it's crazy. I wanted to
No
ask you
doubt.
this real quick as we get into it. Uh, Remember the old Seinfeld episode where he's got the car reservation, the rental car reservation, and the lady doesn't have his car. And he basically says, the point is anybody can make a reservation, but holding on to that reservation is what matters. And I would think you feel a little bit like that right now from the standpoint of your football team just went on a ridiculous, incredible run in the postseason. You've got a coach that everybody wanted to run out of town after November the 30th, and boom, now, he's the hottest thing going. And of course, that means he's got the staff that's the hottest thing going. And we know the hardest thing to do in football, other than hiring a head coach, is hanging on to a staff, but what I want to get to first is, has it been, I don't know, has it been like a whirlwind since the winning the national championship of things you had to do? Like Rick Newhouse mentioned on his radio show, he saw you and Ryan Day's agent having breakfast together, or at least meeting together. You probably weren't eating at all the day after the game and stuff. So you've got this Ryan Day contract in place. It looks like, I's and the T's still need to be dotted and crossed, but just what has it been like just from that aspect of number one, nailing down your head coach for an extended period, and then number two, the assistant chase.
Yeah, I'll clarify one thing. Rick Neuheisel, it was the day before the
Oh,
national
okay.
championship game, the day before. I just speaking of that, look, I think it's really important that myself, that I have a relationship with the coach's representation, good and bad. Like you
Yeah.
need to have a relationship, you need to have a dialogue. There needs to be really some common communication. And so honestly, that was just a touch base. Hey, he was in town, obviously. I was in town for a couple days, and we just had a late morning cup of coffee. But I'm sure in Rick's mind, he's thinking, "What are they working on?"
Yeah.
But soon, look, soon after the game, after we won the national championship, we wanted to be proactive in the conversation. We wanted to secure Coach Day's future, and that's where if you take a step back, you really have to look at, and I mentioned this the very first day that I got announced here at
Yep.
Ohio State. It's easy to get fixated on a result, right? And we get judged a lot by the scoreboard, but the process to get there, the fundamentals of leadership, the organizational structure, the way people communicate, the way people are held accountable. Not knock on wood, Tim, we had very few discipline issues, right? We social conduct of our young men in our football program is at the highest level, the best I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean somebody can't make a mistake in the next couple days or the next couple months, but if you just look at how the program operates, forget on the field. That's what you want in a program, and that's what you want in a leadership. And if you have those things going right, and then, oh yeah, by the way, you're recruiting at a high level. Oh yeah, by the way, you have the right coaches teaching these young men on the field and making sure that they're, adapting to the modern era of college football. Oh, by the way, we said, hey, we're going to run less plays this year because we can play 16 games or 17 games. And we were calibrating all of this. That goes back to leadership. And so we wanted to secure the future of Coach Day. And then with that, with success, you're gonna have transition. So clearly that's what happened with Chip, with Justin Fry. We're still working on a couple other pieces to the staff. Coach Day's working on that constantly.
Yeah.
But that's what it means when you have success. You're going to have people that are attractive. We will always be able to hire great coaches, but it starts with the head coach. And when you have stability, especially in this modern era, to me, we have to have that. And then you look at alignment. Alignment is key. Board of Trustees, President Carter, myself, Coach Day. I've had people tell me that this is one of the best alignment sort of structures that we've had in a long, long time here at Ohio State. So we got to capitalize on it. We need to use this momentum, but it starts with stability. And I'm so glad we got Coach Day locked up for a long time.
Uh, and you're always honest with me, Ross. That's what I like about you. How tough, though, was the day after? Was it in the quick aftermath of the loss, the fourth straight loss to Michigan, when you know all these arrows were coming at you? You know what I mean? I'm not just Coach David, because basically you're the guy who has to facilitate change if change is made and stuff. And how tough was that to just stand up and go, no, this is our guy? I mean, as you look back on it, but
Yeah.
then to get it, boy, validated, yeah, the way it was validated is crazy, right? But go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. What I've learned here at Ohio State is a couple things. One, we're a public trust of the state of Ohio, so everybody feels like they own a piece of our program, which is
Yeah.
great. That's a great asset to have. And so with that, I've learned that every word matters. Everything you say matters here, especially at Ohio State, because everybody again has ownership, in the program. And so right after the game, and you know me, Tim, I'm in the press conference.
Yeah.
I was in there every game, right?
Yes.
Both on the road, and at home. And so I walked into the press conference like I always do. I always want to listen to coach. I always listen to the players when they have their little round tables. And right after the game, I was approached by 5 or 6 media members. I don't know if you were one of them, but I said, guys and gals, now's not the time. I'm not going to say anything. Look, your job right now tonight is to interview the players and the coaches, right? I mean, they're the ones who just played the game. And so I knew that people were going to be asking questions over the next couple of days, and I totally understood it. And so I really woke up Sunday morning and I talked to President Carter and I said, boss, we need to say something. We need to support Coach Day. We need to support these players. Based on the fact that we lost this game, we are definitely hosting a college football playoff game.
Yeah.
We need to be ready for that. That's 3 weeks away. We're not just going to call the college football playoff committee and say, hey, you know what? We're going to decline the invitation because we lost that game, right? We're not going to let that one game define this season, even though it was very, very tough. So I knew that we were going to have to say something. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know how that was all going to play out. And your friend, Bill Rabinowitz, he texted me mid-afternoon and he said, hey, I know you didn't want to talk after the game. Do you want to have a conversation? And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so he and I spoke that night. And I just wanted to be very, very convicted, very, very strong in our support of our coaching staff, one. But I didn't want, here's the thing, and you know this, I didn't want Monday morning to have people wake up and be looking around going, hey, has anybody said anything?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? I didn't want the players walking in the building and saying, hey, has anyone seen Coach Day?
Yeah.
Is everything okay? I wanted there to be very, very clear mission of purpose that we're a great team. We're ready for the playoffs. Yesterday, we don't like what happened. Saturday afternoon, we totally understand it, but we're alive. We're breathing. Let's go. Let's go play. Let's kind of lift the lid off this thing
Yeah.
and let's go happen. That's not why we did it. We did it because the players and the coaches came together, but clarity had to be stated because again, 10-2 puts you in the playoff. And let's go make a run and let's go see what happens. And we had no idea how it would all play out. There was a lot of angst over those 3 weeks, right? How would we
Yeah.
show up against Tennessee? And they had a bunch of fans, and I think in a lot of ways that ticked off our players, and it ticked off our fans to be like, no, we're not going to let this happen. And so I think once the kickoff happened against Tennessee, you could just feel it that we were going to go on this run. So a
Yeah.
lot went into it, but those are some of the things that played out over that weekend and that Sunday and Monday.
Are you guys as administrators in college football, major college football now, asking a lot of a roster to play a gauntlet like Ohio State played? You understand what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah,
that's a lot. And I know, you're going to the 105 model and stuff in terms of roster limits and things. But as you look back on it now, Ross, obviously you're ebullient for what happened in it. But as you look back on it, was it a wear and tear situation that, knock on wood, you guys got through? I mean, how do you look at it now?
yeah. I don't know if Mickey or Coach Day want to give away all the secrets, right?
Yeah.
But there has been a lot of conversation on the fact that this planning really started last spring. And it really goes into we need to remake the whole college football calendar. We really
Yeah.
do. From the start of the season, how many bye weeks, where does championship weekend fit? The fact that we were playing games all the way up until January 20th, and then I think a couple of years from now, I think the championship game may be on like the 24th or 25th. That frankly, that's just too long. So how do we shorten it, but also have player safety in mind? And so Coach Day and Mickey, they started mapping this out with our trainers, with our doctors, with our sports science folks on making sure that our bodies could, sustain all of this. And we did a great job. The recovery pieces, I think, are phenomenal. That's a lot of people probably didn't see that, right? Because those
Yeah.
things happen behind the scenes. But there's definitely lessons learned. Look, the 12-team playoff is not going away. It's not going to go away. In fact, you may look at an expansion at some point in time. But if we keep 12 teams or more, then you've got to look at the overall calendar. And that's where I think leaders in college football we need to step forward. We need to really look at the calendar. There's already discussions that are happening around this, but players want to play. They want to play games. I mean, if you just look at how our guys responded, they want to play this game, but how do we take care of them, off the field? Those are things that we're going to continue to hone in on. And then how do we remake the calendar? We've got to get to a better place. There's no question about that.
Hey, last question. Does Ryan Day know what his budget is for assistant coaches for going out, in this time when he's lost three major assistant coaches, probably the three most important coaches on your staff, really, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and offensive line coach. I mean, you kind of cut to the heart and soul of your team in those three jobs and stuff. But how how does that work so people understand? Does he have like a budget, a pool of money he can spend on those guys, or is it individual?
I really look at it as we know what we paid last year, right? We have that as
Yeah.
sort of the baseline. And with some of these moving parts, right now the number's a little bit less than last year, but we don't know what a D coordinator, might be. And so there's
Yeah.
some moving parts. The way I look at it is I never really fixate on a certain number. What I want to tell a coach is, hey, look, let's go identify who you think is the best. Let's compare that to the market. Let's see what they may be coming from an existing situation. How does that fit into the budget that we do have? There are limitations on the budget, but let's be strategic about the right person versus saying it's only this and here's a box that you have to live within.
Yeah.
Let's go out and be strategic. So that's how Coach and I have handled all of these transitions. And we started talking about that philosophically last summer, just to say, I'm a new AD, right? He's been here, 6 years now. Maybe Gene had it a certain way, but here's my philosophy. And let's make sure that we're on the same page. So we try to be really strategic about who the person is, and then how does that fit within the overall structure, and knowing that, look, we're going to invest here at Ohio State. Football is king of the hill. We've got to have football be successful here at Ohio State. We all know that. So what is that investment? How does that fit within the overall structure? Those are the things that we stick to.
The biggest thing you learned about Ryan Day during that 4-game run to the national championship from November the 30th till January 20th was what?
That my lights don't work, I guess.
No, that's all right. You're
The
good.
light went out. That'll be on the Zoom. Maybe you can edit that.
Yeah, there you go.
I would say the biggest thing that I learned, I kind of saw it, but then you really see it when adversity strikes, is how much the players love them.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line, is that the chemistry, the trust, the togetherness. This is not, I don't think this has been said yet before, but the fact that there was a players only meeting and they invited one person,
Yeah.
and that person was Ryan Day, that says everything right there.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna have a players only meeting except one person. We want the head coach there.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It does not happen. And so I think just learning that and kind of validating that is something that I saw.
Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Ross Bjork, because there's only one athletic director at the Ohio State University. Hey, Ross, thanks for joining the Tim May Show again, my man.
Thanks a lot, Tim. Appreciate it.